Welcome back, friends, to Fluent English Plus, the place where your English grows through the greatest stories of all time. If you're learning English and love history, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into a story you might think you know, but by the end of this video, you'll understand it like never before. This is not just a history lesson. This is a journey into the life of one of the most respected warriors of all time, King Leonidas of Sparta. His name is known worldwide, not because of wealth or conquest, but because of courage, because he stood in the face of fear and said, "No more," because he believed that freedom was worth dying for. For nearly 2,500 years, his story has been told again and again, in books, in poems, in paintings, and now, in film and online media. But today, you're going to experience his life in full, in clear and fluent English. You'll learn about the Spartan way of life, the rise of Leonidas as king, the threat of the mighty Persian Empire, and the legendary Battle of Thermopylae, where 300 men stood against tens of thousands. So grab a drink, settle in, and get ready to be inspired while leveling up your English. Let's begin. In the southern part of ancient Greece lies a rugged region called Laconia, and at the heart of this land stood a city unlike any other, Sparta. To outsiders, Sparta was mysterious. It had no grand temples like Athens, no world-famous plays or philosophers. What Sparta had was power, but not the kind of power that comes from money or politics. Sparta's power came from something else: discipline, strength, unity, sacrifice. Spartan society was militaristic from top to bottom. Every aspect of life was designed to support the army and the state. At the age of 7, Spartan boys were taken from their families and placed into the agoge, the Spartan education system. There, they were trained to endure hunger, fight without mercy, obey orders without question, and live without fear. They slept on straw. They wore minimal clothing. They stole food, not because stealing was right, but because cleverness and survival mattered more than rules. Those who couldn't keep up were left behind. But Sparta didn't just raise warriors. Spartan women were also unique. They were educated, outspoken, and physically strong. They were taught to say to their husbands and sons, as they marched to war, "Come back with your shield or on it." That is the Spartan spirit, the spirit that lived inside Leonidas. Sparta had a rare system of two kings ruling at once, each from a different royal family. Leonidas came from the Aegean line, but he was not born first in line. In fact, he was third. He had no reason to believe he would one day rule, and perhaps that's what made him so strong. He didn't rise through entitlement. He rose through character. Leonidas belonged to the Aegean dynasty, one of Sparta's two royal families. His half-brother, Cleomenes I, ruled as king during a time of internal political instability and tension with neighboring states. Cleomenes was known for bold and sometimes reckless decisions. Eventually, he was declared unfit to rule and died under mysterious circumstances, possibly suicide, possibly murder. With his death, the throne passed to Leonidas. A soldier first, a king second. He didn't rise to power through ambition. He stepped up when Sparta needed a leader who was calm, disciplined, and willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. As king, Leonidas didn't live lavishly. He didn't surround himself with luxury. He continued to train, to lead by example. In Sparta, kings were not above the law. They were expected to serve, fight, and, when necessary, die for the state. And that is exactly what Leonidas would one day do. While Sparta trained its warriors in silence, trouble was rising far to the east. The Persian Empire, the largest and richest empire the world had ever seen, was preparing to strike back. In 490 BCE, under King Darius I, Persians launched their first invasion of Greece. But the Greek city-states, led by Athens, defeated them at Marathon. Humiliated, Darius vowed revenge. But he died before he could act. His son, Xerxes I, inherited the throne, and with it, a burning desire for conquest. Xerxes was not interested in negotiation. He didn't want just revenge. He wanted all of Greece under his control. He raised an army said to number over 1 million, although modern historians estimate it was closer to 100,000 to 300,000. Still, the message was clear: total domination. The Greek city-states, often at war with each other, met at the Isthmus of Corinth. They debated, they argued, and they feared. Some wanted to surrender, but not Leonidas. He stood and proposed a plan. The Persian army would be forced to pass through a narrow mountain corridor called Thermopylae, the Hot Gates. It was there, he said, that they must make a stand. The Spartan council, due to a religious festival known as the Carnea, would not approve a full army deployment. So Leonidas chose 300 warriors, not just any warriors. They were all men with living sons, so their family lines would continue, even if they died. He wasn't marching to win. He was marching to delay the Persians, to buy time for the rest of Greece. It was a mission of sacrifice, not survival. And yet, they would become immortal. Nestled between the mountains of central Greece and the sea lies a narrow pass known as Thermopylae, the Hot Gates. It was here that Leonidas would write his name into history. In August of 480 BCE, the Persian army under Xerxes I arrived, a massive force stretching for miles. But at Thermopylae, their overwhelming numbers meant nothing. The pass was so narrow that only a few soldiers could attack at once. It was the perfect bottleneck, and Leonidas was waiting. The Greeks formed a phalanx, a wall of overlapping shields and spears. Behind them stood Spartans, Thespians, Thebans, and other allies, about 7,000 men total. The Persians attacked wave after wave: Medes, Scythians, and even the elite immortals, the emperor's personal guard. But the Spartans held firm. They fought in shifts, rotating to stay fresh. They used the terrain to their advantage. One ancient historian wrote that the narrow pass made the Persians fight as if in a funnel, unable to use their numbers. By sunset, the ground was soaked in blood. Day 1, Greek victory. On the second day, Xerxes expected the Greeks to surrender or weaken. They did neither. The Spartans even mocked the Persians. According to legend, when told that Persian arrows would blot out the sun, a Spartan replied, "Then we will fight in the shade." Again, the Persian waves broke against the phalanx. Thousands died. But Persia had time. and a secret weapon, betrayal. That night, a local Greek named Ephialtes approached Xerxes. He revealed a hidden goat path in the mountains, one that would allow the Persians to circle behind the Greek army. Xerxes seized the opportunity. He sent his elite forces through the trail under cover of darkness. When Leonidas learned of the betrayal, he faced a choice: retreat and live, or stay and die with honor. Leonidas chose to stay. He dismissed most of the Greek allies, ordering them to leave and fight another day. But he, the 300 Spartans, 700 Thespians, and 400 Thebans remained. Their mission: to hold the pass as long as possible, to delay the Persians, to become a story that would ignite a nation. And they did. When the dust cleared, the Persians had the pass. But at what cost? Xerxes ordered the body of Leonidas crucified, a dishonor by Persian tradition, hoping to crush the Greek spirit. But it did the opposite. Back in Greece, stories of the 300's final stand spread like wildfire. They became martyrs, symbols of defiance, heroes of liberty. Today, a monument stands at Thermopylae. On it, a simple inscription: "Go tell the Spartans, stranger passing by, that here, obedient to their laws, we lie." These words, over 2,000 years old, still echo in the hearts of those who value freedom over fear, duty over comfort, honor over life. Though the Battle of Thermopylae was a military defeat, its consequences would change the course of history. Leonidas' sacrifice inspired not just Sparta, but all of Greece, and even the rest of the ancient world. The battle became a rallying cry, a symbol of courage in the face of overwhelming odds, of fighting for something greater than yourself. After the fall of Leonidas, the Persians marched south, eventually burning the city of Athens. But Xerxes couldn't hold his ground. His supply lines were stretched too thin. His men were demoralized by their failure to crush the Greek spirit. At Thermopylae, and the Greek navy, led by Themistocles, defeated the Persians at the Battle of Salamis, forcing Xerxes to retreat. In the end, Greece held strong, and while Leonidas and his men died, they gave Greece the time it needed to unite and fight back. Leonidas' legacy didn't just inspire soldiers. It inspired civilians, too. Across Greece, people remembered what he and his 300 did, how they put the safety of their country above everything else. His death was a call to arms for every citizen, every free person. In Sparta, his legend lived on. The soldiers who fought beside him became legends in their own right. The victory at Salamis and later Plataea were direct results of the sacrifices made at Thermopylae. Beyond the battlefield, the legacy of Leonidas can be seen throughout Western civilization. The values he embodied, courage, discipline, sacrifice, and honor, have been passed down through generations. Leonidas' story has inspired countless movies, books, and works of art, from the famous film 300 to Greek sculptures. The idea of the Spartan warrior and the ultimate sacrifice has become an enduring cultural symbol. For our English learners, the lessons from King Leonidas and the Spartans are more than just history. They teach us the importance of words, leadership, and defining who we are. The famous quote, "Come back with your shield," or "on it," is not just a battle cry. It's a reminder that in life, we must fight for what matters most. When we use language to communicate courage, we remember the courage that Leonidas showed. This is how we can apply his spirit to our lives, live with purpose, speak with strength, and act with honor. So, what can we learn from King Leonidas and his 300 warriors? It's more than just about fighting. It's about standing firm in the face of challenge. In life, we all face our own Thermopylae. We all encounter moments when we must decide whether to give in or stand tall. Leonidas' story reminds us that sometimes we are the only ones who can make a difference. If you've enjoyed this journey into the past and found inspiration from the legendary king, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more videos like this on Fluent English Plus. And as always, leave a comment below. Tell us, what does courage mean to you? How can you apply the lessons of Leonidas to your own life? Thanks for watching, and remember, just like Leonidas, we fight for freedom, we fight for honor, and we fight for something greater than ourselves.